be focusing on making sure the public is aware of. That will go and be on the ground February 5th, and will continue to provide a resource that we need to have to make sure the public is well informed to protect as many people that may be impacted, and in continuation of focusing on not just men and women but also children, to make sure that we are stopping any trafficking efforts or coalitions that may be building or traditionally have in the past around events such as the Super Bowl. I do want to congratulate the City of New Orleans for hosting the Super Bowl. This is their 11th. They have always done a fantastic job, and we expect that that will be the exact same story this year as well. Our partners include not just the NFL, but also the City of New Orleans, and then also we have partner agencies at the federal, the state, and the local level. We are in direct communication, and one of the things we have done is put forward a blueprint for how we will communicate that will be much more effective than what we've seen at other events around the country in the past. We know that working with those partners and making sure everybody has the right information at the right time is how we respond much more efficiently and react to the public need that we have at that period of time. I want to thank Homeland Security Investigations Special Agent in Charge, Eric Delane, who is the federal coordinator for this event. And I believe he may get the opportunity to speak here a little bit about how his role impacts the entire operation here. There will be over 700 different Department of Homeland Security people on the ground here, and I will not be specific with you on those numbers because we remain and contain the prerogative to add more as needed and adjust those numbers as we see fit. We will be utilizing different agencies and departments under the umbrella of Homeland Security, but the President Trump has also made a commitment for us to be able to deploy other assets from other departments and agencies, and I appreciate the flexibility that he has given us to make sure that we are addressing this event in a way that is responsive to what we see coming forward. We're grateful for that interagency support, and I believe that it is unprecedented in an administration to work this well together and to be all hands on deck with our local and state community partners. This Super Bowl exemplifies how we come together to safeguard our traditions, how we come together to make sure that the public is well informed and gets the chance to celebrate something that's very special to us, to our culture, to our people, and to our families, but we also do it in a way that is reactive to what we see as the current environment that we see in the world today. The world is a much more dangerous place, but here in the homeland, we are safe, and I will tell you that right now we have no specific credible threats to this event at the Super Bowl, which I think should give us all a sense of security, but also knowing that we will adjust that as needed. But today there are no credible threats that we have that are on the radar for this event that is coming up on Sunday. The Secure Our World Game Plan PSA is starting to air. So that is a PSA that will be out on the radio and on TV, and it's going to allow people to stay safe online as well. As you know, we not only have operations on the ground, we also have operations regulating what is in the air as far as drones and air traffic, but also we know the internet can be a tool that can be used in nefarious ways. So we have a campaign that will be dealing with how we interact online and how cybersecurity operations will work together, and that Secure Our World Game Plan PSA will go out and inform all folks on how we can do due diligence and being responsible with that asset in order to conduct this day and this event in a way that is reflective of what our status is as far as security. The No to Protect campaign works to stop online child exploitation. That will work as well with the Blue campaign, but we are going to have ports that will be hosting booths to inform folks that will be extremely visible. So if anyone suspects that there will be child exploitation, they will have somewhere visibly they can go to report that kind of activity that we can respond to. This is critically important that while we were out there looking at the different elements that we see at specific events across the country, that the public knows where they can go when they need help. Obviously, the traditional methods always exist. But if you see something, say something, means grab a local law enforcement officer, a security personnel, someone that you see that is there to protect the public, and our communications plan will ensure that everyone is well informed to deal with it and to make sure that we can go forward and celebrate this great game, and that we will have the opportunity to celebrate together in a way that reflects the unity of the United States of America. So thank you so much for your leadership, Mayor, in hosting us. I want to thank Governor Landry for his proactiveness on this event. I will tell you that when the New Orleans Day terrorist attack happened, I wasn't even in this position yet, and he was on the phone with me at 5 or 6 in the morning, calling me and communicating with me and coordinating so that I could work with my counterparts in this administration and the previous one to do all that we could to make sure that we got through that situation. But all of it has been an experience that we use that experience to prepare even more for the future, and being nimble and efficient is critically important. So thank you for having Kathy here. Her experience is invaluable. She is a rock star, and she has done everything that she needs to do to be prepared and to partner with us. And I'm grateful to the NFL for making this a priority and making sure that the security of this event is top notch. So with that, I'll stand by for any questions, and I'll turn it back to Kathy.
Thank you. Thank you, Secretary. Appreciate your comments. Now I'll turn it over to Eric Delane, Homeland Security Investigations.
Thank you, Kathy. My name is Eric Delane. I'm the Special Agent in charge of Homeland Security Investigations Field Office here. And I also have the privilege of serving as the Federal Coordinator for Super Bowl 59. I want to start by recognizing those 14 individuals who were taken from us January 1st. It was a heartbreaking event, and it was very hard on this city. And as we prepared and as we continue to prepare for the Super Bowl, we carry them in our hearts and our minds. They're with us. Again, thank you to Kathy Lanier and the NFL and all of my colleagues and friends here on the dais for standing side by side with me and every agency involved in the preparations leading to today and the events ahead. With more than 24 federal agencies assisting with security preparations for Super Bowl 59, I'd also like to recognize those that are not present on the dais, but played vital roles, notably our partners at Customs and Border Protection, ICE ERO, the United States Coast Guard, and the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms and Explosives. The opportunity to work with this incredible group of professionals as the federal coordinator is the greatest honor of my professional life. A little bit about me. I grew up 85 miles west of here. I served as a deputy and a policeman in St. Mary Parish. My first assignment as a special agent was here in New Orleans. My career would take me all over the country and to different parts of the world. But this city, the city that I love, and the state that I love, was always with me. And now I'm back, and the security for Super Bowl 59, the safety of the crowd, and all of you before me, well, it's personal. Since being appointed by the Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security in December of 23, my role has been to listen to the needs of our state and local leaders and find the appropriate federal resources to ensure a safe and seamless Super Bowl 59. Hundreds of HSI special agents, criminal analysts, and support staff will join our federal counterparts in contributing to the physical security and intelligence assessments for the Super Bowl. Additionally, I have worked to coordinate the security of the land, air, and local waterways with the vital support of our partners, leveraging a united front of all of those law enforcement entities. In the days ahead, there will be a significant increased law enforcement presence in New Orleans, some of which will be visible and obvious. This includes special response teams, drone technology, tactical personnel and equipment, intelligence analysis, and covert assets. Lastly, something I want you to know is that HSI New Orleans utilizes deep local knowledge and expertise to address public safety challenges unique to New Orleans. The majority of our HSI New Orleans field office is comprised of native New Orleanians. This is the highest level of safety and security on the federal side, and it's being done and led for New Orleans by New Orleans. While the city and the police department, Louisiana State Police, and the governor's office have an incredibly robust security plan that we in the federal government are supporting, I'd be remiss if I didn't prevail upon our most important partner, which is you. Secretary Noem covered that, and I'll tell you, she's absolutely right. Whether you're in New Orleans, enjoying the festivities, or anywhere around the world, if you see or learn of something that may impact the safety and security of Super Bowl 59, please report it to your local authorities so law enforcement here can act on it. What I want to say to the city of New Orleans, to the local leaders here, is that we in the federal government stand with you. We stand with you in the state of Louisiana, not just today, not just Super Bowl Sunday, but every day. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. I had the privilege of having opportunities to work with most of our federal partners at some point in Washington, D.C., and Eric was no exception. So good to see you again when we started planning here again for Super Bowl. Now I'd like to introduce Governor Jeff Landry.
Thank you, Kathy. In the NFL, certainly Secretary Noem, Eric, our federal partners. I don't think there is a city in the United States that is capable of being able to lift victims up while supporting first responders and those that mend us up more than the city of New Orleans. And that's exactly what this city has done over the past 30 days. Our citizens have seen death and destruction in a place that represents America better than any other place in America, on a street under which all walks of life are welcomed in a fun and festive time. And as we went through those days and I spoke to each one of the victims' families, a common theme continued to occur, and that was that they did not want the loss of those loved ones or those that were injured on that street to go in vain. That America would continue to stand up to those who seek to wreak havoc and terror on us, and that we would defend and secure our citizens so that they could go about enjoying their way of life. Since those last 30 days, we have worked seamlessly with the NFL, with our federal partners, with our local agencies to ensure that any gaps that we could find inside of this city, targets that we could harden, we did. We went out and issued an executive order under which we created an enhanced security zone in the French Quarter, something that had not been done before. We think it's going to make the Quarter an even safer place. We look forward to projecting that out into multiple events as well. In addition to that, we brought an additional 350 National Guard troops, which will be working alongside creating a force multiplier, not only for our local and state agencies, but also for our federal partners as well. We have worked tirelessly to ensure that the security and the safety of this city remains intact, and I believe that it absolutely will be. I think that the Secretary's involvement in being here today on this diocese, her ability to walk through the streets of New Orleans, only further supports the federal commitment to making sure that the biggest show on earth is going to go on without a hitch, and the best team is going to win. And then lastly, I'll just echo again what Secretary Noem said. We, as individuals and as citizens, have the greatest responsibility for protecting ourselves and others. And so if you see something, we want you to say something. If you hear something that concerns you, we want you to say something. There will be hundreds, if not thousands, of law enforcement officers working in this city to protect you. And if you see something, we want you to say something to them. So again, I just really want to thank our local and our state agencies for working so close together. And I want to thank our federal partners and NFL, and we are going to have one hell of a Super Bowl Sunday. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And I can tell you, having worked in multiple cities around the country, the unified effort of the teams here with the state police, NOPD, Jefferson Parish has been really remarkable the way they work together. So bar none, your comments are spot on. They work very well together. It's been a pleasure to work with. Now I'd like to introduce our acting director, acting special agent in charge from the FBI New Orleans office, Stephen Cyrus.
Good morning. My name is Steve Cyrus. I am the special agent in charge normally of the Kansas City field office. I was asked by our acting director to assist in managing all FBI resources assigned to support security for Super Bowl 59. I have a lengthy background in managing FBI operations in support of these type of large-scale events, special event planning, and then responding to critical incidents here in the U.S. and around the world. That's why I'm here, and I'm honored to have been asked by our acting director to come to New Orleans. The FBI is proud to support the New Orleans Police Department and our other state, local, and federal partners in addressing the security needs for Super Bowl 59. The New Orleans office and specialty teams from around the country have been preparing for this week for more than a year now. We coordinated extensively with our Phoenix and Las Vegas divisions to apply lessons learned from their recent Super Bowls and are working hard looking forward, to passing the torch and these same lessons on to Santa Clara on Monday morning. The FBI support for our law enforcement and security partners for Super Bowl 59 falls largely into three main categories: intelligence, operations, and response. On the intelligence side, we have FBI personnel stationed at our own Emergency Operations Center, but we also have intelligence analysts stationed at every joint command post and intelligence center operating throughout the city. We are being vigilant in reviewing all information collected by all 55 of our field offices and over 300 resident agencies around the country. And we are sharing every scrap of information to identify any potential threat with all our interagency partners, law enforcement, and appropriate private sector partners. We're also relying on our 85 offices around the world to coordinate with their international partners. These international law enforcement and intelligence partners are able to relay any threat information to us here in New Orleans simply through these offices around the world. Our intelligence efforts also include threat intelligence gleaned from open source, social media, and our own databases, as well as our U.S. and intelligence community partners. Operationally, we have dozens of agents assigned to address any criminal or national security threats that may arise from those who might attempt to use this week's festivities as cover for illegal activities. We have also highly trained agents and analysts assigned to monitor, detect, and respond to any potential cyber attack from a criminal threat actor or hostile nation state. Our special agent bomb technicians and our weapons of mass destruction coordinators are working with a whole host of partners here in New Orleans to keep Super Bowl events free from hazardous devices or substances. We're deploying tactical assets, including our New Orleans SWAT team, to serve as a force multiplier for the New Orleans Police Department. Finally, we have specialized personnel here to enforce the FAA's temporary flight restriction, or TFR, around the Superdome by identifying, tracking, and if necessary, disrupting any unmanned aerial systems, or UAS. Counter-UAS missions have become increasingly relevant when it comes to high-visibility sporting events such as this, and the FBI will have a drone detection system in place monitoring the skies over the Superdome. In all, we have over 450 FBI personnel from the New Orleans office and brought in from around the country working daily with our law enforcement partners and standing ready to respond or to investigate any threats or crimes surrounding Super Bowl 59. While I'm proud to speak of the FBI's preparations and capabilities to support Super Bowl 59, our goal for this week is to do our work quietly, professionally, and behind the scenes so that the focus of the next several days remains squarely on the teams, the fans, and the visitors. New Orleans is an extraordinary city, and the FBI is honored to be part of the team entrusted to keep it safe. Thank you.
Thank you. Excellent comments. Thank you, Stephen. Next, I'd like to introduce a great public safety partner with a ton of experience, Colonel Robert Hodges.
Good morning. I'm Colonel Robert Hodges, the Superintendent of Louisiana State Police. On behalf of the men and women of our agency, we're honored to partner with the National Football League and our local and federal law enforcement agencies of this highly anticipated event. As a New Orleans native, I'm very proud to be standing here in front of you to be part of my 4th Super Bowl as a state trooper. So as stated earlier by my counterpart, Eric, it's personal. The Louisiana State Police has dedicated over 200 troopers to assist with security operations throughout New Orleans during Super Bowl 59 festivities. Troopers will work with our partner agencies in the French Quarter, with security operations at the Convention Center, Superdome, and in various locations around the city. During these fun and exciting events, we cannot forget the importance of safe decisions behind the wheel. To all residents and visitors and sports fans, it's critical to make sound, safe decisions while on the road. One poor decision can turn a celebration into a tragedy with lifelong consequences. Last year, over 700 lives were lost on Louisiana highways. You can make sure you don't become a statistic by planning ahead, designating a sober driver, utilizing rideshare services, avoiding risky behavior behind the wheel, and ensuring all vehicle occupants are buckled up. Throughout the weekend, troopers will work closely with our state, city, and federal partners to ensure a safe and enjoyable environment for everyone. If you observe a hazardous situation or suspect someone is driving impaired, please call star 577 on your mobile device or star LSP. Suspicious activity can be reported by visiting the lsp.org website and completing the suspicious or criminal activity form. Also, as stated earlier, you can use the See Something, Send Something app, and of course calling our Louisiana State Police Fusion Center at 1-800-434-8007. Thank you, and we wish everyone a safe, festive, and memorable Super Bowl 59 in the city.
Thank you, Colonel. And certainly last, not least at all, Superintendent Ann Kirkpatrick from the New Orleans Police Department.
Thank you, Chief. Well, I want to begin by thanking everyone for being here, but I also want to share, there's a saying in law enforcement that when we lose someone, that they may be gone, but they're never forgotten. And that is so true for our 14 victims of New Year's Day. But I also now want to turn and thank a couple of people for being here, because it is incredible what has happened. The amount of support has been unbelievable. First and foremost, I want to thank Chief Lanier. Now, Chief Lanier, she doesn't realize, but I've been in police work for 43 years, and Chief Lanier is absolutely iconic in the world of law enforcement. I've had the pleasure and honor of watching her for 18 months and her team, and you deserve every bit of that well-earned reputation. Thank you, Chief Lanier. I want to thank my mayor. You know, my mayor has given me everything I have asked for. She is the #1 cheerleader of this police department, and I want to thank you, and I want to thank you for being here today in support of me and of your police department. Governor, thank you. Y'all do not realize necessarily, but all of the infrastructure, almost 90% of what you see out there since the New Year's Day tragedy is because the governor, it is the governor who got all of this mobilized. Thank you, sir. It is noted, it is absolutely appreciated to hard target our city. I want to thank also Special Agent Eric DeLon. Now, he is the federal support for this entire operation. Your collaboration, and even more so, not only for this operation, but since I have been here, your partnership and with the state police, unbelievable. It sounds cliche to say that we have partnerships, but not here. It is not a cliche. I have sheriffs who are in the room, and I want to thank you. We actually work well together. We are genuine partners. And then lastly, Madam Secretary, thank you. Thank you for representing our country by being here. Thank you for acknowledging our heroic officers who killed an enemy of our country, who is out to be an enemy of this state and to be an enemy of this city. But we have prevailed. And so thank you for being here. We are going to have a fantastic Super Bowl. Yes, we're going to have well over 2,000 law enforcement agents out there. I have a little saying, I want the community and our visitors who have come for this event to see a sea of blue. And I will close by also emphasizing that if you see something, please, we need your partnership. Say something. And we've instructed every one of our officers that if they are approached by anyone who sees something and says something to you, it is so we can do something. And with that, thank you very much.
Okay, we're going to take questions. If you can just acknowledge who you're with and who you want to direct the question to. Tim?
Yes, we have about 15 minutes for questions. There's mics on the side and in the back. And as Chief said, name and outlet and who you want to direct.
Thank you very much. Hi, Secretary. How are you? Good to see you again. This question goes either to Director Cyrus or Special Agent DeLon. I don't know which of you two gentlemen could answer this. It's Francisco Villalobos from Televisa Univision Mexico. Nobody gets in a plane in Mexico to go into the United States without being on the, once you check in, information comes to the United States, they clear any passenger, just as going around the world. I wanted you guys to comment that Mexico is the country that probably sends the most foreign fans to come to the Super Bowl every year, and how is your partnership right now with the Mexican security forces as to secure that anybody that comes from Mexico, either by sea, plane, or land, to come into Super Bowl are screen secured, and that basically that everything will be okay?
Every airline that transports people into or out of the United States has a series of security protocols they have to adhere to. And that would apply to Mexico or any other foreign nation, whether it's public transportation or private transportation. And then once those people enter the country, they have to provide documentation, entry documents, a passport, and we can verify who they are. And there is also a measure of biometrics that are used in that process as well. And when it pertains to here in New Orleans and for the sanctioned events, there's also a level of security to get in and out of those events. So we have a really good idea who's coming in and out of the country via aircraft, and it's based on those documents and biometrics.
And I'd just like to go back to, I spoke earlier about the offices we have around the world. We obviously have a legal attaché in Mexico City. We also have a number of sub-offices around Mexico that share information on both sides. Either we provide or they provide to us through the Mexican authorities, both the government and the police. So anyone who's coming in, we obviously share that information with all of our federal partners as well, so that we can make the best decision. And then you heard already about all the safety and security measures that are put in place so that folks who travel here from Mexico are absolutely protected.
Daniel Kili from Mopo in Germany. I had the privilege of being to the Super Bowl 202, just moments more or less after 9/11. Would any one of those esteemed gentlemen and madams be able to tell me what the difference between the measures then and now are, if there are any, except developing technologies? But do you think it's a situation after the attack of January 1st that could be set into the same measure like after 9/11, or is it a different approach?
I mean, I can start off, and I'll let what other panel members would like to speak. Having worked with this team, again, over the last 2 years, what we all do in this line of work is we watch every event that goes on globally every day. And our job is to examine those events and make sure that we are not only anticipating and trying to prevent things that are known, so looking backwards at historical events, but trying to anticipate forward. So thinking forward, we don't want to focus only on the last incident. We want to focus on being prepared, being ready to prevent anything that is, that we know are known threats, but also trying to anticipate the next threat. So what is the next threat that we may be facing? And that's our job. Our job is to work together to anticipate those threats, use all the technology and the resources that we have to put together a unified plan. And then the other part that you heard every speaker talk about is we also have really refined our communications protocols, our emergency preparedness planning, our contingency plans, because we could all go out on game day and have to make some changes on game day to some of our security plans, and we're ready to do that. That's what this team has been asked to do, and that's what we've done. So I don't know if anybody else wants to add to that.
The only thing I'll add is I was fortunate enough to deploy to all the Super Bowls between 2000 and about 2008, and then sometimes after that. To echo what Chief Lanier said, really is to say that it's the operation side, yes, that's changed, but really it's that communication between all the people involved that has really changed and I think upped our game in terms of providing security. I would also say, yes, any event that may have happened anywhere around the world, we take that information and we use that to fine-tune the plans that we've been working on for years. But every event that takes place, we use to slowly fine-tune and make it a little better as we get those lessons learned.
You asked specifically what's changed since 9/11 and since you may have traveled here for a Super Bowl game then. Everything has changed as far as how we respond and the fact that the Department of Homeland Security didn't exist at that time. So it was created in response to that attack, and 22 different agencies and departments were put under Homeland Security, and many of those entities are at the table today. So I think that streamlining of federal agencies over the years has been extremely effective in how we bring all of our tools out of the toolbox together for events like this, and then coordinate our communications with the state and local officials. But everything the Department of Homeland Security does is we always believe that the best response happens locally. You know your people and you know your assets and what happens here on the ground. And then the state adds resources and expertise. We come in and support with the assets that we have, whatever agency as well. But the response locally and those experts are given a lot of respect within our agency, because this is your community, and we come in and layer on top of that and help refine it and add the resources that we need to make sure that we're giving you the kind of assets you need to respond to these types of events.
And I think the one thing is that everyone seems to focus on the process and forget the people. The one thing that is constant is evil, but the implementation of that evil changes consistently. And the men and women who wear a badge are constantly seeking ways to be able to protect us. And so that from those times, each one of those events, we learn lessons, and then you try to lean forward and try to determine if you can guess what's going to happen next. And that's what we've been doing. There's been just an untold number of man hours that have been spent even before the tragedy of New Year's Day, but then multiplied thereafter to make people safe. And it's lessons that will continue to be projected out throughout the rest of the country. That's why I so appreciate the Secretary being here, because her responsibility is not just this Super Bowl, but her responsibility is to protect the homeland on every American citizen.
For Chief Lanier, Mark Maskey from the Washington Post. You mentioned the drone issue, and you've spoken about that in the past. How does that issue play into your planning for this game and affect your thinking here?
Yep, thanks, Mark. We do have the flight restrictions that are consistent with, so as you know, we have temporary flight restrictions for all of our regular season games, but the difference here is we are working under a SEER 1 or a special event rating, number 1, which is the second highest rating we can get. So that gives us some extra authorities through our federal partners here. I think you heard two of our speakers here talk about that mitigation authority. So there are TFRs in place throughout the course of the week. Starting today, there are restrictions throughout the downtown area and around the Superdome for drones. So drones are restricted. And when I say that they're restricted, there are teams here that are here to detect and intercept those drones. They will take those drones, and depending on the circumstances, you could be fined up to $75,000 for operating a drone in a restricted airspace. So those restrictions will continue throughout the week in and around the Super Bowl venues, the Superdome, and then that flight restriction will expand to 30 nautical miles. Currently it's about 1.5 miles for drones. It will expand to 30 nautical miles for all aircraft on game day. So please leave your drones at home. It could be an expensive mistake if you bring them out around any of these events.
I believe it's for the governor. From what I understand, and let me set up my camera real quick too. Might as well record it. All right. Governor Landry, from what we understand, the security measures and the security enhancement zones, you're not allowed to have ice chests, coolers and such. Definitely understandable. But you are allowed to have concealed firearms. Is that allowed?
Yeah, in fact, all the statistics I've shown is that where concealed carry is in place, the places are a lot safer. Look, we went through great lengths through the executive order that we put together to balance the freedoms and constitutional rights that are enshrined in this state while making sure that we had enough security to be able to protect our citizens. And so we believe that the enhanced security zone is put in place in a very responsible manner that balances those two. And no one has been able to prove to me under which areas where concealed carry was in place, under which the threat was greater.
Sir, I think one of these young men should be able to get a question asked here.
My name is Chance Duckworth. I'm with St. Augustine High School. And my question is, when you all encourage people to see something, say something, what things should they look out for? Any suspicious behaviors and things like that? What things should they look out for?
Do you want to take it? So I'll start off, and then I'll let the other panels. Remember, I spent a lot of time as a police officer, and I always hear people after something happens say, I saw something and it just didn't seem right, but I didn't want to bother the police. And the most important thing to do is if you see something that just gives you that sense that just doesn't feel right, dial 911. That's what the police want you to do. They want you to let them know because they want to look into those things, not after the fact. They want to look into it as soon as you see it. So it's really important to report if you see something or you just get this feeling something just doesn't seem right about somebody's behavior, somebody's activity, they're asking strange questions. Those are things that, especially around a big event like this, we want you to report it to someone, a security person, a law enforcement officer, so they can look into it. I don't know if anybody else wants to follow on.
You see a strange bag laying somewhere that nobody seems to be claiming. You know, it seems like it's been laying there a while. Maybe there's a door that's been blocked for a long period of time, but you don't really know why, or why there's a group of individuals in a certain area. Maybe somebody's not feeling well, but nobody's taking care of that individual. Whatever it is, just check on them and then say something to a security officer. I would, if something just looks a little bit off, just say something to them, because I'd much rather have you say something that this feels like it's a little bit of a strange situation, what's going on over here, than to wish later that you would have said something. So if you don't see anybody addressing something that's laying there that doesn't seem to fit in, or a bag or something that's left unattended, keep saying it to a couple of people. It doesn't matter if you want to say it to one person and they kind of blow you off, mention it to another person. I think that's totally fine not only just see something, say something, and until somebody listens as well.
If I may add, one other specific thing that sometimes people overlook is having clothing that does not match the climate. So if it's warm but you're wearing a big overcoat, those are the kind of things. You kind of know when something just doesn't seem to fit. And so that's why, even if you can't put necessarily words to it, but I think I want to mirror particularly what the Secretary said, abandoned property. Abandoned property will be a big issue, abandoned backpacks, things of that nature. That's why the igloo issue, the ice chest, it was out of place, right? And so that's what we're saying, that if it just doesn't feel like it's the right thing, go ahead and call us. Don't worry about it, okay?
Let's stay in that same row for the final question, right? Sophie, if you can bring it up.
How's it going? My name is Connor Emery with NEZ Today. My question is for you, Anchor Patrick. You have said that we here in New Orleans have proven time in and time out that we can provide safe environments. What does this say about this city? Because it's more of a national level compared to the Sugar Bowl that happened a month ago. How does this city have proven compared to other cities like Phoenix or Dallas or Los Angeles, stuff like that?
I think that we have a history, we have a track record here. You just heard earlier that this is our 11th Super Bowl. We tie with Miami. We are also a city that brings in around 20 million visitors a year. That's like 3 times every resident of New York City coming. And so Mardi Gras, Jazz Fest, we could just go on and on and on. And the track record, I think, speaks for itself as well. And that with these security measures, that we know that we can say with a very high degree of confidence that our security plans are in place, and that would be the best way I could answer your specific question.
Any final words, Chief?
No, again, I want to thank everybody and encourage everybody to, the consistent message here today is the see something, say something. So that is the one thing we want everybody to really stress as they go about being part of you're all now part of our security eyes and ears. So thank you very much and appreciate everybody coming.